Tag keep kicking me off, man. Yeah. All right, I'm good. All right. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Motivate Monday. Um, it's always a blessing to be able to talk to y'all. And tonight, I just want to start by saying we are not going to be playing safe tonight. We're not going to be tiptoeing around the truth. We're going to be stepping into the ring of real life, mind first. And this is also from one of the books that I have that I want to be releasing very very soon within the next week. And so I want to encourage y'all, right? We're not going to be pulling any punches because the truth is that every day that you wake up, I want you to know that you are in a fight, not just with the world, not just with pressure, but with the version of you that keeps whispering, "You're not ready. You're not enough. You can't handle this." How many of y'all have battled with those types of thoughts in your head every single day? That you're not good enough, you're not ready, you're not strong enough, you're not smart enough. I'm sure if you're like most of us, a lot of y'all deal with those types of thoughts every single day. But guess what? You didn't show up to this Motivate Monday to lose tonight. You showed up because there's a fighter in you that's ready to rise. This moment, my encouragement to you is that this moment will be life changing if you let it be. This moment will be an opportunity for you to stop waiting to feel ready and to start training like the win is already yours. Because the reality is that we don't rise to the occasion. We fall to the level of our preparation. I'm going to repeat that. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. So my question to you tonight is, how are you preparing for your winning season? We started these Motivate Mondays with the theme of 2025 as winning season. And so now we're at the beginning of May. How's your year going? Is it just like last year, or are you taking steps to elevate beyond where you were last year? All right. So whatever you're battling, doubt, fear, inconsistency, comparison, we're about to lace up our gloves. We're about to speak truth, and we're about to move like the crown already fits. So again, welcome to Motivate Monday. Welcome to your mental gym. Let's get right into it. So first, I want to start with the raw truth, right? The raw, unfiltered truth, and that is life. Life is a fight. Every day you wake up. Every day we wake up. Every day I wake up. We step into some kind of ring, right? So for some of us, the ring is our job, the pressure, the expectations, the thought that you should be further by now, the voice that says, the voice that never shuts up. For others, the ring is healing, trying to repair what somebody else broke without letting that brokenness turn you to being bitter. For some of you, the ring is your reflection, the version of you that you're trying to become, the version of that you are trying to become, and how it's locked in a daily match against the version of you that keeps pulling you back. Whatever the ring is, whatever your ring is, whatever my ring is, it's time. The reality is that we showed up tonight. You showed up for a reason, and it's not by accident. Because part of you, if you're being honest, part of you still believes that you can win. That's why you showed up tonight to this Motivate Monday. And I want to tell you, I want to encourage you that matters. That feeling, that part of you that still believes that you can win, that matters. That means something. Because most people, if we're being honest, most people don't show up for the fight. They stay in the stands, watching, commenting, judging, being sideline commentators. But you showed up tonight, and that means that you're ready. But let me give it to you straight before we go any further. The fight is not out there, right? Out there being, in the world, being in all the circumstances. The fight is in here, right in the center of your chest, right behind your eyes, right in that little voice that nobody else hears. So this talk tonight is not just about boxing. It's not even about sports. It's about survival. It's about becoming, and it's about the mindset of someone who is ready to rise. So let me ask you, are you ready to rise? And another question is, when was the last time you truly trained your mind like you were preparing for a heavyweight championship? I'm gonna ask that again. When was the last time that you trained your mind like you were preparing for a heavyweight championship? And I don't mean posting affirmations on Instagram. I mean training your thoughts like a fighter. I mean getting up early when comfort says sleep in. I mean practicing restraint when pride says clap back. What I mean is staying consistent when everything in your past says you never had this before. That's the fight I'm talking about tonight. And that's why most people lose it. Not because they're weak, but because they weren't trained in the first place. So let me ask you again before we get in it. Are you trained? When was the last time you trained your mind for if your life was a heavyweight championship? So let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I recently heard a story about a boxer who a few years ago who was in the middle of their own fight. No gloves, no audience, just life coming with haymakers. And I've had these situations in my own life recently, right? Bills stacking up. I had people pulling on me. I had dreams so big that they felt like burdens, more like burdens than blessings. And I remember waking up one day thinking, I can't do this anymore. But right behind that thought, I heard another one whisper, but what if you're just in training camp? What if this is just practice? What if you're just training for where you're really destined to go in life? And that thought right there hit different because fighters go through months of training before a fight. They lose sleep, they lose weight, they lose relationship. Why? Because they know the moment is coming. When it comes, they know that the moment is coming, and when it comes, they won't rise to that occasion. They'll fall to the level of the training. So I want you to let that sit for a second. You do not know how to, you do not rise to your goals, you do not rise to your dreams, you fall to your preparation. So I stopped seeing my stress as punishment, and I started seeing what I was going through as preparation. Every struggle became a sparring partner. Every challenge became a conditioning ground. And every time when I wanted to quit in my life, I asked myself, what would the champion version of me do right now? And so I'm going to ask you, when you're going through those moments of difficulty, when you're going through stress, when you're going through pressures of life, I want you to think, what would the champion version of you do in those moments? And that's the mindset shift that I want to help you walk in tonight. Because the truth is, you can't fight like a winner if you still think like a victim. I want to say that again. If you can't fight like, if you can't fight like a winner if you still think like a victim, and you can't rise like a king or queen if you're still rehearsing the narrative of your old wounds. And so I know that it's hard, right? I know that it's challenging. I know that life's been throwing punches at you that feel unfair. Just last weekend, I had to go to my cousin's funeral. I grew up with him. You know, we were really close, and that was tough. That was painful, and hearing all the people speak about the impact that he had on their lives. I'm gonna be honest with you, it felt unfair. And I know you didn't ask. You know, if you're like, dealing with challenges and you're dealing with your situations, I know the reality is that you didn't ask for the fight that you're in. But let me tell you something that you need to hear tonight. Your soul, and something that your soul needs to remember. You didn't just survive the last season to play small in this season. Let me repeat that. You didn't survive the last season so that you can play small in this season. All right. The heartbreak that you experienced, that failure, that betrayal, it didn't break you, it built you. It wasn't a sign for you to shrink, it was a setup for you to stretch. You are in, and let me tell you this, you are in the fight. You are in the fight whether you want to be or not. You either gonna get beat up or you gonna fight back. But let me tell you this, the fight that you're in is rigged because everything that you've been through was never meant to knock you out. It was meant to knock you into your purpose. So tonight we're just not talking, we're shifting. We're shifting our mindsets. We're shifting, how we think. We're gonna walk through every round, right? The training, the mindset, the hits, the comeback, the victory. And by the time that we're done tonight, my hope is that you will feel like you just stepped out of the locker room with your gloves laced, your robe on, and your mindset. All right. Not on surviving. I don't want you to be thinking about surviving. I want you to be thinking about winning because you were never meant to live on defense. You were born to move with power. You were born to move with focus. You were born to move with fire. And so here's what I want you to drop in the chat right now. I want you to drop in the chat. I'm not waiting to win. I'm training like I already did. I'm not waiting to win. I'm training like I already did. I'm training like I already won. I'm training like I already won. How many of y'all believe that tonight? Because I want you to let that be your war cry. I want you to let that be your mindset. I want you to let that be the energy that carries you through this stream and through your next week, right? Because the version of you who already won, they're not waiting for permission. They're training like the bell already rang, and they're coming out swinging like the victory is already theirs. All right. So let's step into it. This first part, I want to talk about, the power of the dark gym, right? The mental space where greatness is born. All right. So a lot of times we go through life and we think we're in these dark seasons and we think that life is dark and that life is hard. That's the best part right there. So I want you to think about this. I want to take you into a moment that most people never see. It's 4:30 a.m. It's cold. The gym is dim. There's a dull flicker overhead from a light bulb that hums louder than your thoughts. It's so quiet that you can hear the squeak of your own sneakers as you walk toward the bag, right? It's that early in the morning. No music, no crowd, no trainer yelling, just you, your hands wrapped in silence. This is the dark gym that I'm talking about. Not just the physical one, I'm talking about the mental one, the spiritual one, the emotional one. This is where champions are made, in that dark room in your mind. 4:30 a.m. It's silent, it's quiet. That's where champions are made. You see, most people think victory starts on game day. They think that it starts when the lights come on, when the cameras are rolling, when the opponent is in front of you. But real fighters, people who fight for a living, know that they know that the real fight begins when nobody is watching, when you're tired, when no one will blame you for quitting, when nobody will blame you for hitting the snooze button and not going to the gym, when your progress isn't showing and nobody's clapping. That's the dark gym that I'm talking about tonight. And it's the gym that most people skip. They want to win. They want this to be their winning season. They want to accomplish their dreams. They want to accomplish their goals, but they don't want to do the work. They want the crown, but not the conditioning. They want the crown, but not the early mornings. They don't want the hard work. So let me tell you a story about Floyd Mayweather. Love him or hate him, that man trained like a monster. He'd go jogging at 2 or 3 in the morning, not to flex, not for TikTok, but because he knew his opponents were sleeping. He knew that victory belonged to the one who prepared when it was inconvenient. Floyd Mayweather understood something that most of us forget. Discipline is more powerful than desire. I want to say that again. I appreciate that. Discipline is more powerful than desire. Desire is emotional. Discipline, on the other hand, is spiritual. Desire says, I feel like it. Discipline says, I made a decision. And when you live in a dark gym of life, when you commit to training when nobody else is watching, you start to build something stronger than muscle. You build character. And so let's bring this into real life, right? You might not want to be a boxer. You may not know anything about boxing, but let me tell you this: you are in a fight. Maybe your fight is trying to show up for your business while working a job that you hate. Maybe your fight is staying consistent and healing even when the triggers feel louder than the peace. Maybe your fight is being the cycle breaker in your family, raising your kids with love while trying to unlearn what was done to you. And nobody sees that. Nobody sees you in those moments. Nobody claps for your early mornings or late night breakdowns. There's nobody, no round of applause when you resist the urge to spiral. No medal for not texting back that person you know is bad for you. But let me tell you, let me be the voice that tells you something. Those are the wins that matter the most. The silent ones, the private ones, the ones that only heaven sees. Because that's where your champion is forged. Not in front of your followers, but in front of your future. So let me ask you this. Where's your dark gym right now? Where's the area in your life where you've been showing up, grinding, praying, believing, but you haven't seen any fruit yet? And I'm going to pose it a different way. Where are the areas in your life where you need to be showing up, where you need to be grinding, where you need to be praying, where you need to be believing, and you want to see fruit in your life? That's your gym. That's your training ground. And if you keep showing up in those moments, in that gym, even when the room is silent, even when nobody is applauding, your victory is inevitable. I want to say that again. Your victory is inevitable. Keep showing up, keep grinding, keep working hard, keep doing what nobody else wants to do, and your victory is inevitable. But you have to stop waiting for motivation, right? This is Motivate Monday. Motivation is great, but motivation is a visitor. Motivation is temporary. It shows up when it wants to. In this case, it shows up every Monday at 8 p.m., but that's only temporary. Discipline, however, is a resident. It pays rent every single day. It pays rent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The enemy of your breakthrough is not failure. It's inconsistency. You don't lose when you get tired. You lose when you train only when you feel like it. So let's go deeper. Do y'all know why champions keep training even after they win? Why do champions keep training even after they win? Because they know the next fight is coming, and it's not the last opponent that'll knock them out. It's the pride of thinking that they're done, right? Some of you have been in a good season, right? But you've stopped training. You're only weak if you think you're weak. You're not weak. So some of y'all are have been in a good season, and because you've been in a good season, you stopped training. You got the job, you got the healing, you got the peace, so you let the hunger die. You let that drive die. But that's how you lose what you've built. That's how you lose your progress, because success without continued discipline breeds entitlement. I'm gonna say that again. Success without continued discipline breeds entitlement, and entitlement will make you sloppy. So stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay in that dark gym of life. So I remember building my own business in silence, right? 2017, no clients, no sales, no platform, just me and a Word doc. There were nights when I cried out in frustration, questioning why I was still trying. But I kept writing, I kept planning, I kept training, in private. And one day it broke. Opportunities came, doors opened. I built that business to seven figures. But by the time it happened, I was already ready. When the clients start coming in, I was already ready. I wasn't getting ready, right? Because I didn't wait for the opportunity to get prepared. I prepared so that when the opportunity came, I didn't have to rise to the occasion. I could fall back on my training. And so here's your reality check tonight. You won't always be motivated. You won't always feel strong. Sometimes you'll feel weak. You won't always get praise, but you can always show up. You can always give 1% more than you did yesterday. You can always commit to becoming a little bit more disciplined. That's all it takes. That's how champions are built. Not overnight, not in public, but every day in silence in the dark gym. And let me stop long enough to say this. There's no such thing as pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. There's no such thing as a success overnight. It's success overnight to you because you watching on Instagram, you watching on Facebook. You're not watching the work that person put in when nobody was watching in the dark gyms of their life. You see, I want you to, I want, and to that point, I want you to declare something with me tonight. I want you to say it out loud, say it where you are, type it in the chat, whatever. I want you to say this or to say this. I don't need applause to stay committed. I don't need proof to stay prepared. I don't need company to stay consistent. I train like the bell already rang. All right. So let's talk about the inner opponent, how the inner opponent is louder than the outer one. Let's be real for a moment, right? You can train your body. You can read all the books. You can post your goals on a vision board. But if your mind is still the enemy, you're stepping into the ring outnumbered. I'm going to say that again. If your mind is still your enemy, you're stepping into the ring of your life already outnumbered. Because let's be honest, you've taken hits, not just from life, not just from the world, but from you. There have been times in your life where you beat your own self up, where you hit your own self in the face, where you knocked your own self out. The hardest hits are the ones we land on ourselves. So there's this quote from a boxing coach that I read that stuck with me. It says the most dangerous fighter isn't the one who hits the hardest. It's the one who's made peace with the voices in his head. The most dangerous fighter isn't the person who swings the hardest. It's the person who's already made peace with the voices in their head. So every time you say I'm weak, every time you say I'm not smart enough, every time you say I'm not strong enough, every time you say I'm not this and I'm not that, you hit yourself the hardest. You are the most dangerous fighter in that moment when you accept those lies about yourself. And you frame it as, oh, I'm just realistic. Oh, I'm just being real. I'm just speaking reality. No, you're speaking lies because the truth is what God said about you. All right. So I want you to think about that. We spend so much time preparing for what's out there being in the world, on our jobs, in our lives, in our families. We spend so much time preparing for what's out there, the competition, the critics, the pressure, the pain, that we forget that the loudest fight isn't always external, it's internal. It's that voice that whispers to you, you're not good enough. You're already behind. Who are you to even try this? You're not smart enough. You're not talented. You're not pretty. You're not strong. And you're not disciplined as they are. But I want to pause right there. I want you to take a breath because someone out there right now, you need this, right? You've been in that fight all week. You've been in that fight all month. You've been in that fight all year long. You're doing everything you can just to stay afloat. But it's not, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, Day. It's not the circumstances that are breaking you. It's the self-talk that you've let run loose in your mind. And guess what? You're not broken for feeling that way. You're human. But just because it's coming, right? Just because the thoughts are coming doesn't mean it has to stay normal, right? So let me tell you a story. There was a fighter a few years ago. His name was Joe Frazier. How many of y'all remember him? Now we all know about Ali Frazier fights. They were epic. What most people don't know is this. Before the first fight, Ali taunted him nonstop. He mocked his speech. He mocked his appearance, even called him too dumb to be a real champion. But Frazier said something in a quiet interview later. He said he couldn't beat me with his hands. He was trying to beat me with his words. Let that sink in for a second. Why? Because even Ali knew, if I can take your mind before we even touch gloves, the rest is just cleanup. And that's how life works. That's how trauma works. That's how fear works. And yes, the enemy try to play us too. It's not always the punch that knocks us out. It's the inner dialogue in our heads that convinces us we never belonged in a ring to begin with. So let's talk about your fight. What's your inner opponent saying to you? What is your mind saying to you? Because it has a voice, and that voice is loudest when you're most vulnerable. And let me give you some examples of what that voice sounds like. Everyone else gets it easier than me. I should be further along right now. Look at them. They're winning, but look at me. I'm just surviving. This must be a sign that I'm not meant for this. Let me expose the lie tonight. You are not behind. You are in training. You are not failing. You are in formation. You are not late. You are being prepared. And that inner voice, it needs to be coached, not coddled. Stop coddling your inner voice. Let me ask you something real. Would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself? How many of you would talk to your best friend and say, "Oh, you just behind. Oh, you're not good enough. You should be farther along in your life. You look at everybody else. They winning in life, and look at you. You're a failure." How many of y'all would talk to your best friend that way? And let me ask you this. So let me ask you, why do you talk to yourself that way? Why do you criticize yourself and not your best friend? Right? Would you tell your best friend that they're stupid when they mess up? Would you tell your best friend that they're unworthy after a rejection? Would you tell them shame on you for resting up? You know, or would you shame them for grieving and needing more time? Nope. You hype them, you encourage them, you motivate them, you build them up. Why? Because and so let me ask you this. So why is your inner coach an abuser when it really should be a builder? Why do you abuse yourself when you build your best friends up? So let's reframe your fight. The real opponent isn't always the lack of opportunity. It's the belief that you don't deserve one. I'm gonna say that again. The real opponent isn't always a lack of opportunity. It's the belief that you don't deserve opportunity. It's not always the delay. It's the doubt that creeps in during the wait. It's not even the failure. It's the shame that you attach to the fall. But the reality is that you don't have to keep letting your inner critic run the show. You are in control. You can train your mind. You can reprogram your corner. You can stop shadow boxing with shame and start sparring with confidence. So let me give you some tools. Here's how you can coach yourself out of the spiral, right? So I'm sure a lot of us deal with that. Number one, catch it. Number one, catch it. That thought that says I always mess this up, Say out loud, no, that's not my truth. So first you got to catch it. Number two, challenge it. Ask the question when those thoughts come, you catch it, you say, no, that's not my truth, then you challenge it and ask, where's the proof that this will fall? Where's the proof that this will fail? What if this time is different? So you catch it, you challenge it, then you change it. And you're gonna replace that lie with a declaration. You're gonna say something like, I may not have done it before, but I'm built for this. God doesn't prepare failures, he prepares fighters. You could also say something like, I am not my worst day. I am a warrior in process. So you catch it, you challenge it, you change it, and then you condition it. So the way that you condition it is by daily affirmations, right? Daily affirmations are not fluff. They're fitness for your mindset. So I want to encourage you to speak power until it becomes a pattern. Speak power